The Grove Podcast.
Hello, my name is Tabs, and welcome to episode 164 of the Grove Podcast, or should that be episode 1 of the Max Dowman podcast that we might name this, following yesterday. Thank you for listening, and I do hope there is absolutely nothing stopping you from being well today, following Arsenal's late show against Everton, and Max Dowman announcing himself on the world stage with one of the moments of the season, and quite possibly the moment of the season if things go the way we want them to go, which, given City's result versus West Ham, thanks to Arsenal's Konstantinos Mavropanos, is getting closer and closer. So anyway, irrespective of that, it will be a moment that goes down in Arsenal and Emirates history to be played over and over again, just like we all have already, I'm sure. And joining me today to relive yesterday's game, that moment, and preview the Bayer Leverkusen second leg is Jamie. How are you after yesterday? Have you managed to come down from yesterday's high, and how much do you equally hate and love football?
Yeah, I mean, I just enjoyed it, to be honest. I was in a better space than you throughout the game, right? I mean, me and Tabs met up at half time, and Tabs was an absolute wreck. I've never seen the man. You looked like you'd had 17 coffees. You were like bouncing about, unable to be still. Your eyes were darting off in every direction, and it was that was a bit crazy, because I'm just there going, "Nah, it's cool, man. I think we're going to score this one. It's going to be all right." And you were so broken. It's unreal. So and I can get that, but I had a decent feeling throughout the game, and of course it gets a bit hairy towards the end. But I was always pretty satisfied with a lot of the elements of the performance as well. So yeah, I enjoyed myself, and then I enjoyed myself far too much later on in the night, especially when I saw the City and West Ham result as well, which I deliberately tried to avoid a little bit. I saw the 1-1, and then I just left it from there. I was like, I'm not looking. I'm just going to go have some drinks with some mates, not think about it, have the rugby on instead. And at some point, some geezer that kept coming up to me all night, updating me when he saw the Arsenal club I had on in the pub, came up to say it was full time, and that really made the night. So yeah, I was up till about 3:30 in the morning, a little bit hanging for it this morning.
Nice one. Yeah, I was up not quite that late, but similarly late, just watching videos and various angles of that goal, and we will get to that. But I think before we get on with the pod and the rest of the pod, I do need to offer a big apology to all those in the Grove WhatsApp group and to the people around me at the Emirates, as I may have inadvertently caused some unwelcome angst and distress after the Gyökeres goal by asking whether there was a handball by Nketiah. Now, from my viewpoint, it looked like the ball bounced. You know, when you put your arm down by the side, and if it hits off the hip.
I was with you as well, mate. When the goal went in, I said to the fellow next to, I've been chatting to the guy next to me throughout the game, Nick, I think his name was, throughout the game, and at that point, I started celebrating, and I think it must be the most muted celebration I've done this year, because I immediately went to looking at the ref. I was expecting something. I just didn't think it looked like it was going to be a goal.
Yeah, but if you look at it now back on TV, it's clear. There's no handball. But again, but from my viewpoint, it was like one of those things. And yeah, I started celebrating. And oh shit! Actually, oh no! And and I wrote handball ? in the group, and everyone flipped. Now, in my defence, when people are in the stadium, we often ask the group who are watching on TV to clarify something if it's not clear. We just, is that a goal? What are they checking? And there was a bit of a check before, they didn't give the goal straight away. The goal was given, but they didn't confirm it straight away. So in my defence, but that's what VAR has done to us, and it's ruined us in this way.
No, it wasn't even the VAR actually for me. I just stopped immediately looking to check linesman and ref.
Yes, but that's the thing.
Because there was something about and I had a really good vantage point for it. I was basically on halfway bottom of the upper tier.
Yeah.
So it's a really, really good vantage point for everything normally. But I just looked at it and was just like, this has either got a handball or an offside. So I'm just doing that check of the two of them. And I think as soon as I saw that they're giving it then, for some reason I actually stopped thinking about VAR. I was like, it was going to be fine, But it was a real moment of a tiny little moment of this feels just a bit like one of those goals that gets chopped off. I think just the messiness of it, right?
Yeah, but and we'll get into that in detail. But anyway, irrespective of that, it wasn't very welcome. I was called a few choice words, and I'm very lucky to have not been ejected from the group. But anyway, apologies, and Mrs. Cern, I hope your table's okay. And and luckily we had that second goal to enjoy, and so, let's all forgive and forget. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get on with the show. And before we get on to eulogizing about Max Dowman for 60 minutes, let's just start as we normally do with the lineup. It was we were wondering how it was going to be following the performance midweek and various fitness levels, and whether there was something to change up given the way Everton were bound to play when coming here. So Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori coming in for Nkapie, Zubimendi, Rice, Eze, and then Madueke, Saka, Havertz. How did you feel about that lineup?
Liked the look of the lineup, and it performed pretty well. It was a very, overall the game obviously had its back and forth moments, but I enjoyed the way the lineup was functioning in the first half, to be honest, when it first got put out there. Nice to see Madueke on the same pitch as Saka, and not necessarily pushing Saka inside or trying to do something kind of clever there and just going, Madueke is down the left. And I thought Madueke was really bright. I thought he played well on the left, in fairness. Was one of the better things about the first half, and potentially more on that later about the confusion about some stuff. But yeah, pretty good. And it was just a bit of a shame where the shape had to change a bit when Timber got injured, right? And again, we'll probably come on to that, a little bit surprised about who it was that came on. But yeah, it's a strong lineup, and it was deserved and necessary against this Everton team. This Everton team have been quietly very good throughout the season, right? This is an Everton team that's very David Moyes in his first spell there now. It's reaching those levels, like really good efficiency, really well organised. They've gone through, I think we were talking at half time and you were saying about them having a second choice centre half partnership. It was like, no, these guys have played a lot. Like, this is Michael Keane, who's a very good centre half, England international, right? And then O'Brien has played a lot for them and looked really good throughout the season. So it's a really strong Everton team that's come down. They don't have like huge amounts. They don't have individual talents as much as they're just a very good David Moyes team. And so to beat that, you do need to put your strongest team out. There's no rotation. You can do it. This is put a strong side out there and try and get a result on a Saturday night. So yeah, fully satisfied by who we sent out of the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, we did talk about. I mean, I was really apprehensive before the game because I knew it wouldn't be easy. I mean, they're a really good away team. Like, they've got the third best in terms of goals conceded away from home, behind City and Arsenal. They've got 14 points in the last 6 away, 4 wins and 2 draws. They're big, they're physical, well organised. They'll go long. They'll optimise set pieces. So, but they're disciplined and will defend well. They've got some big units at the back. So I really like the fact that we went with a very creative forwards option. The people like getting Noni, and I think it's great reward for his performance against Bayern Leverkusen. Someone who's going to dribble, someone who's going to take on a player. There wasn't going to be much space over the top, so it wasn't going to be like we need to get Martinelli in there over the top. It was always going to be in front of them. So you need those sort of dribbler types. I think also then having Havertz in versus Gyökeres, again, someone who comes into midfield, and then the defenders don't know who they're marking to impact the play from that way, working with Eze and sort of dovetailing there, rather than a Gyökeres who's always on the last man, always there, because that space wasn't going to be there initially. And then I think also the biggest thing, and I think we have missed, even though Nkapie has been fantastic and he's played a lot of minutes and he's come in and done a superb job, but having Calafiori back, having that bit of creativity, element of surprise and predictability, again, something else that we need against a team like Everton, and it's up. The onus is on us to attack and to create something. And you can see that in the stats. It just all manifested itself. In the end. So I think really good team for the matchup that we were having ahead. But my only concern was there was no Norgard on the bench, which I thought was, I mean, Dowman was preferred to Norgard, whether that's the like for like or whatever. He wasn't injured, and I just felt we were light in midfield. So we had 4 defenders, 4 attackers, and there was no real midfield option. So if anything happened to Rice or Zubimendi, it was leaving. I felt it was a bit light, and maybe we could have had one less defender. Or even if we're winning easy, then you might
I
want
mean, I
to take
think some of those
Timber.
boys step into midfield fine, right? Calafiori's played holding midfielder before, not for us really, but has played there for Bologna and I think for Italy as well. And yeah, I suppose it's like, it just feels like there's probably options and you can make people fit there. And I think against Everton, and then sort of anticipating what the game was going to be like, you probably want more optionality from a going forward perspective, right? Because it feels like, if anything, what you're probably going to be doing at some point is taking off one of the holding midfielders and replacing them with an attacking option.
Well, which is what we did.
You're struggling to break down, and that I can sort of see why he'd want those, because Everton, to be honest, turned up more positively than I thought they necessarily would. I think they actually did commit players forward a lot of the time until a certain point in the game where they went, right, no. And it was almost like a tick over. But certainly they had a bit of a go. And then once they stopped having a go was the point where you go, cool, take off the DM, stick on some attacking players, right?
Yeah.
But it always felt to me with the bench, it was probably more so than, you're not going to stick Norgard in to augment anything. It's only if you need to do a straight swap, at which point you can probably just shift some players around the pitch, I guess.
Yeah.
I must admit, it is interesting that he wasn't there.
It was more like, maybe you could have Lewis Skelly out because you got Hincapie covering left back, you got White and Mosquera carrying the middle, Lewis Skelly for Norgard for me. But anyway, it's just one of those things. But I was maybe thinking he was injured, but he wasn't. It was just
Skelly centre midfield as well.
Yeah. I guess it's just trying things that are new. We get into that stage of the season 7. You just don't want to be experimenting. But anyway, it didn't come to that, so it was just an interesting observation. So. Okay, right. Let's get to the highlight and lowlight section. Right. Jamie, what was your highlight of yesterday's game?
I mean,
let's go.
It's a real question, this one, isn't it?
It's just sticking to the format, but I know the answer. Go on.
There's a choice to two, isn't there? But I think the boys all running off the bench for Dowman's goal was just phenomenal. I think the reaction to that, because it was so brilliant the way that it happened, right? It was breathless. There was a little bit out of him to say, I deserve a goal out of this, because he did the lovely little step away from where he got the header, got in front of his man to get the header, and then he beats, I think it was Garner or Dewsbury, that was kind of last man. And then there's that procession going in, right? And it's all a little bit sort of Formula One. He's going in for the checkered flag kind of moment, right? It's and the way he was going with the supporting runner as well, but he's just like, don't pass it, mate, don't do anything, just go. You need to take this. And I just loved the way that the entire bench just went absolutely berserk, right? And they just went for him, and it wasn't going berserk because of winning the game. We'd already got that out of the Gyökeres goal effectively. I think it's just a case of finishing off. It was, they were going berserk for him, for that lad, because they'd just seen, this kid that no doubt all of them support and mentor to a certain extent score that goal. So that was superb. I think unfortunately there might be a couple of banning orders that occur, because there were definitely a couple of lads went over the barriers.
I think they were pushed. Well. I saw that.
I don't know what.
Not.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it was too egregious. Let's hope nobody gets too caught there. But that corner just went wild, right? And that just felt really old school as well in general. That like players, you don't see that in the Premier League very often now. Players literally just almost
emptying the bench,
swarm with the crowd. And emptying the bench and the whole thing. It's very you don't really see that in the Premier League. So it was just lovely. So that I'll crystallise that bit as much as the goal itself. It was that reaction just felt beautiful.
There was so much to like about this goal, and actually I've listed like a load of things about this goal, and this is the highlight for everyone, and it just topped it off, and it's a highlight for so many reasons. That it's a bit like it's very reminiscent of the Havertz goal against Chelsea in terms of. It really has secured the win and all the rest of it. We can just release and all the rest of it, because even if 30 seconds left, you don't know what stupid stuff can happen. So the release of, right, we have 100% won the game. And then who scored it, and the manner of the goal being scored, and then the celebrations afterwards. I mean, it was an Everton corner. Obviously the 6 minute has passed, and this is now 97 minutes. So, ref, you don't have to let them take the corner. So, but I actually wasn't that worried, because they actually decided to do an outswinger. And as soon as I saw that, I thought, well, that's a strange choice, because you want to get it in swinging, put under pressure, know what happened with it. So it was an outswinger. So it was automatically like, oh, I'm fairly fairly chilled. And I just thought, but and the corner was cleared, and Nelly has a big part to play in this goal on two occasions. Really lovely header to get it to Dowman. I think he's just clearing it, but I think it does enough. Pickford couldn't really challenge Nelly because Pickford's thinking, well, if I challenge and lose it, I'm miles away from goal anyway. So he couldn't. So he was sort of half and half. Then there's still lots to do from Dowman, and he heads it past one, cuts inside the other. But Nelly did brilliantly as well, because and you'll love this. He does he runs an NFL interference block on the last defender. It didn't get near him, but just enough to just to secure. Just
take up the space. Just take up the space.
Yeah.
I'd say it's more of it's a rugby union run, to be honest. It's a real supporting run, basically. And I liked the supporting runs in that in general, right? But that's it's your man there
to run in front of the defender. So and look, he wasn't catching, but just have that presence of mind at that moment to do that, just to added security. He was running along just in case he needed to. But then when watching it back, 3 crescendos on the way to goal. 1, when we clear the corner. We clear the corner. Like, okay, fine, that's that danger. 2, then when Max Dowman's like from halfway line and he's got an empty goal, and we are, oh my god. And then 3, when he scores, just that build up. In the crescendo was
just lovely to end on a euphoric though, isn't it? Because I think the goal from Gyökeres that's the relief that you get, right? That's very much, and we've been there and had that a few times over the last few seasons, right? And that's a really powerful emotion as well, and it can be both euphoric and also relief. But I think with Gyökeres, it was a bit of both, but the second one was just pure euphoria, pure joy, pure party. It was like, this is party time now.
Yeah. Super.
Forget your relief stuff. That's fine.
Absolutely.
Now, let's have a bit of fun, because that was just super fun. And there's something about the unnecessary element that makes it a bit more of a party time thing. And you just, that was really, really joyful. So
and so happy. I mean, so happy for him. He's 16 and 73 days. So he's the youngest Arsenal ever league goal scorer, the youngest Premier League goal scorer.
Crazy, isn't it? Do you see that somebody shared a stat that he's younger than 4 of the ball boys?
Yes. That's absolutely nuts.
Crazy, isn't it?
But it also showed, I don't know, just an ease with which he did it, and just gliding through. And we always talk about the way he glides, through it. It was just incredible. And that, look, his world is now changed. He's like, after yesterday, he's sort of announced himself. That's going to go hugely viral. Everyone's going to see it. His world's just going to go nuts, and then he's going to turn up to school 9 o'clock, and he's got maths on Monday morning. Just bring him back down to earth. But yeah, what I mean, we're really lucky. I mean, there's 2 things to think about. 1, 74 minutes in the game, we need a goal, and he brings on Dowman. He's got Jesus on the bench, tried and tested.
I mean, I love it. I love the trust. Can I just immediately say, batshit idiocy that I've seen today, including a Reddit thread of how have you got this talent, picture of Max Dowman naturally, and you don't trust him, you idiot. It's like, after seeing what we've seen, it's like, the fuck is wrong with some of these people? Like, what is wrong with some of these people?
Nothing's right. Nothing's good enough.
In putting a lad who's had promising games, but like largely is just 16 years of age, has limited first team experience to this point, and has had injury.
He's just come off a 3-month ankle injury.
Come back off. To have the trust to go, you're up. Like you're trusted here to go get out on the right, push Saka inside, and you're now responsible for one of our main creative areas in the team. Is huge, absolutely huge, and fair play to the boy. He didn't look fazed by it at all. He immediately came on and started causing problems. Drew quite a few fouls out of Everton straight away, right? And just looked a bit lively, and it did not feel at all. It did not feel at all like he was, even slightly out of place, did it? So
no, and it was the right choice. And look, it started back in Liverpool, like second, whatever game of the season, when he brought him on, when he had Trossard on the bench and stuff like that. He still brought him on away to Liverpool, and that was when he was 15. So, and it's one thing. Look, 16. you still need to be cautious. He's still really, really young, physically, mentally, and stuff like that. And I think he's perfectly set for cup games against Mansfield, where we just need to rest everyone. Fine, start there.
Yeah.
But in the Premier League, where it's a bit more precious, it's fine. He's a great option to have for 20 minutes, because the thing is, if you start him, the thing when you're at that age, you fatigue earlier physically and mentally, and then all of a sudden, like you maybe have to come off at half time or whatever, because it's just you can. I think he once started and you could see him tailing off, just because I think people forget how bloody hard the Premier League is, and no matter how good he is,
he's not physically mature yet.
There are levels. Yeah,
he's not physically mature yet, and you see that some lads do mature obviously at different rates, but that physically thing as well, people will point to his general athleticism or think of it as a fitness levels, and it's not. That endurance is something different. It is something separate, and it is something that generally players build upon into their 20s, not as a you don't tend to come out with fantastic physical endurance in your teams. It's just not there. So I mean, and exactly as you say, there'll be games he starts, there'll be games where he plays for 90 minutes because they're not as intense, and then there'll be games where he's going to come on as an impact sub, and he's in an area of the pitch where we have plenty of options, and that's a good thing.
It's good.
He's learning from some fantastic players, and I mean, it's quite mad with the age though, isn't it? Because you think, well, if the boy's ready to play properly, like week in, week out, and dominate teams at the age of like 20, that's still 4 years away.
I know,
the amount of development he's got ahead of him, and it actually takes Bukayo Saka to being just a touch under 30 years of age, I think, that doesn't it? So maybe, which is crazy. The idea that this boy, well, I think when he's 21, Saka's turns 30.
Saka's 24, is he? Is he 24? I think in the moment, 24, 25. But yeah, it just showed.
Maybe this is a case of he's 24 until he's 25.
Yeah, but it just shows the young. So again, it's such a fantastic option to have, and it's brilliant, and we're going to love him. I think we just need to just be cautious and not throw everything on him, because at that age, you're going to be inconsistent. You're going to go up and down. His next game, he could fluff his lines easily. He's still got a lot to learn to do. Like, I mean, the Mansfield game, maybe he's holding on to the ball too much and stuff like that. So, but I think we're going to enjoy this. And in the pod I did with Andy after Mansfield, we were saying, like, could he have an impact on this season? Could he have that moment, or could he have a few minutes here and there that will change the trajectory? Well, there's your answer. So let's see. And I mean, again, we're very
cracking. I mean, we've said about the goal, the second goal, the first goal. His ball in is fantastic, so dangerous. It's got and Pickford makes ash in it, which is great. After having had a really good game up until then, but it's a fantastically dangerous ball. And the composure that he has, like he seemed really calm out there. And he put in a couple of really dangerous balls, a couple of them where, unfortunately we can get anybody into the areas they should have been to be able to help us with it. But he's sort of, at least when I think back at it, it felt like it was all a bit slow motion. He's kind of observes, looks around, he's got time and space, sets himself, delivers a really good ball. And that was pivotal.
And also in the 84th minute, he had that chance on the edge of the box. You thought, is this the moment? And he sort of leans back, puts it over, and it would be very easy to get your head down and or be down and like, oh god, have I missed my chance? Oh dear, I'm letting
there was a real groan off that one as well, wasn't there? I sort of know it's one of those things you sort of, if you're not at 84 minutes, nobody groans when Max Dowman skies it somewhere, because you kind of go, good on you, lad, keep going. At that moment, it was like a stifled groan. There was almost a bit of a, like, had it been a someone,
if it was
Jesus, if it was Jesus, that would have been loads of shouting of all sorts of obscenities all around. And you're always fucking doing this, Jesus, and whatever. But because it was him, I think you got the initial groan, and then it didn't get all of the sort of the real vitriolic shouting that you get for some of the guys that have done it a bit more regularly. It was, but exactly as you say, head went back up. Like, just keep doing stuff, and it is lovely to see, and it does remind me. There was a time where that felt very much the case with Saka as well, and he might have slightly lost some of that a little bit in the weight that he feels now, and sort of the way that he feels everything needs to be certain quality and whatever. He's lost that sort of joyfulness to be able to just go, let's just keep having a go. And that is a normal thing. That's a normal thing for footballers. But it's lovely to see it there with Dowman, because, you know, we don't necessarily have somebody else in the team at the moment that's playing with that kind of joy, to be completely honest. And that's not like miserable Arsenal or football's on shit or anything like that. It's just, it's a quality that you see in a young lad when he's just getting to go and play football, and everybody trusts him, and he's not sort of in that position of having that pressure and that thing, you know.
Yeah, it's like the innocence of youth.
At some point, at some level in the game, he will have to do that. And it's a real transition moment, I think, particularly for attacking players, as to how they're able to cope with that. But at the moment, that pure expression of joy that you see, and the fact that he does just want to go, that's all right, I'll go again, is just lovely to see. Because, you know, because we've had a few of them over the last few years, but he's that new incarnation of it.
Well, there's the thing. I mean, is the cliche, the innocence of youth and stuff like that, and he's playing like that. Yes, we've had a few youngsters. This one just feels different. And we've seen it and progress. And then I've seen clips on the socials like, oh, everyone's glazing over Max Dowman because he was all right yesterday. Yeah, but you're an idiot Everton fan who hasn't been watching him all season and seeing what he can do or create. So I think again, we're very lucky. I think out of all the youth that we've seen come through and stuff like that, this is one that's potentially the real deal. The way he's being trusted, like it's not like in other players that have come in youth level in teams that are not performing so well, or there is no choice. You know, he got in the game ahead of Jesus, a seasoned professional, scored tons of goals in the Premier League, been there, done that. You know, lucky in a way, Trossard's still injured, because would he be on the bench? So now this also lends itself a question. You know, Trossard gets fit. You've got the Carabao Cup final next week, and I think it's the same number of subs. Jesus or Trossard is missing out because you're not going to not have Dowman on the bench. So it's going to be
it's a really interesting one, actually, that, because I think you do need to have him on the bench at the moment, right? I mean, I think probably it's hard with Jesus, isn't it? I think it probably is Jesus, to be honest, if I'm completely frank. I think he's the guy that drops back off the bench, and you kind of go, thanks, mate. You know, it was lovely to have you back for a bit, but Kai's back now. Is the big prop for Jesus. And, you know, between Kai and Gyökeres together, you have those guys that are gonna lead the line. And then, unfortunately for Gabriel Jesus, I think he's the one who drops out. And it now feels like after that brief spell of going, it was lovely to see Gabriel Jesus come back, and it was lovely to see him get the odd goal and whatever. And he still might have some moments in this season.
Yeah.
It feels like this is us moving towards the swan song of his Arsenal spell, right?
Indeed. So, was there any lowlights from yesterday's game for you?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, there were a couple of moments of real panic, right? We definitely allowed Everton some decent opportunities, and they came in ways that I'm not used to seeing. I think in particular, I talked to you about, I've been absolutely shat myself when I saw Keenan Dewsbury Hall, I think it was, popping up in that space right in the centre circle, and the ball and the goal just opened up in front of him, like absolutely opened up. There was no traffic in front of him. It was, and that was scary. That was very, very scary. Because we don't see that so much. You know, most of the goals that we can see tend to come down to individual errors, because we are so very good and so well organised that individual errors is what will occur. And you almost have to accept that. That's like almost being so good defensively means that when you do score, there will be somebody to blame. Like, and so, but there were a few of those moments yesterday, and that was a bit of a concern. A few times where we played ourselves into trouble. There was one moment, I mean, when Zubi played himself into trouble twice within the space of like a minute. He got away with it, got the ball back, and then effectively did exactly the same thing again. Both times effectively was passing to an Everton player, which was a bit weird, because he overall, I thought Zubi had a really good game yesterday. I thought it was a real return to form, but he does have that carelessness in him at times. It's crept, and it seems to have crept in more and more and more in recent times. But I think that was across, you know, we did get a little bit careless at times. So it's hard to pinpoint a specific low light, but certainly it felt like there was at times we weren't as solid as we normally are, which is weird to say when we kept a clean sheet. But I think that says a lot about the fact that Everton are not a very lethal team. That is, that is their weakness. They do not score. They don't concede goals,
but
they
don't
really
score.
them. They get away with goals out of a bunch of really solid performers and good players that they have in their effectively their front four. Good target, 2 good target men that do a similar job, a couple of decent wingers and a decent attacking midfielder. But none of them are like lethal. None of them are goal scorers. So luckily we got away with that, and it does feel like if we'd given those opportunities to a team with a more lethal front four, we're coming out of that really badly. So careless.
I think David Moyes sort of alluded to maybe. Yeah, I mean, maybe they. Well, I'm thinking maybe they sort of played on our nerviness, our edginess a bit, game state, season state. We were vulnerable potentially mentally at times, and also they changed up their formation, or they changed up how they played, like from about 20-25 minutes. You're right. Their centre forwards, they're battering rams, get the first ball, someone else wins the second ball, and just interference type stuff. So I think there was an element. But no, David Moyes said, look, maybe today we just didn't have the luck that we had in previous games, and so it's a bit like, yes, they've had a great away form, and today it just sort of evened itself out. The variance evened itself out. Thankfully for us, it worked out that way. But yeah, they did expose us a couple of times. We'll get to that. I mean, for me, there was one clear low light, and that's apart from my handball shout, was the non-penalty, penalty non-penalty.
I thought you might go for the referee overall. In fairness,
yes, the referee overall.
The ref was giving us nothing all game, right? Early doors was just like, this is going to be it all day.
Yeah, and it was so inconsistent. The one massive inconsistent one when he should have given a free kick for Eze. He went. Sorry, were you playing with something? I just heard that through the earphones.
Oh, massive apologies, mate. I was just looking up Havertz Everton shout because I wanted to see. I haven't seen it back, so I was just very quickly. Sorry, mate.
Okay, no, it's fine.
Should have muted for it.
If you do, yeah. There was a one Madueke going down the left, and he was completely barged off the ball, like that. And fine, he doesn't give it, but then every time we did that to an Everton player, that he gave a free kick. So it was just really inconsistent there. You're right, not giving us much, but I don't blame him for the penalty as such, because where his angle was and stuff like that, it happened so quickly, fine. But when you see that on review, and the fact they only checked it for like a nanosecond, and when you consider how long they check other VAR things, it's clear he steps on Havertz's ankle, Havertz's heel, and makes him fall over. Otherwise, Havertz is going through, whether he scores or not, doesn't matter. Potential dog so. But the fact that they just cleared it that quickly, and from the reverse angle, it's really clear. So I don't blame the ref for not giving it.
Yeah, I've just watched a replay for the first time, and that is something that looks pretty clear that Michael Keane's gone over him there, right? And interesting, actually, I'll just say, I mean, Sky's headline is Jamie Redknapp brands it a disgrace. Actually, I've not really kept up with the post game too much, funnily enough, because it just I went into a wind of going and seeing some old mates and having too many beers, but yeah, I mean, it does look pretty obvious, doesn't it? And it is what it is. It's a shame as well. I mean, that pass from Eze, by the way,
that's what we want.
I mainly came away from that. Actually, I felt it was almost like a highlight, because I think he works really well with Havertz's slightly more clever movement. He's not necessarily looking for the lung busting run that you sometimes see with York. It's that Havertz does have that ability to time his run in interesting ways. He sort of pulls defender one way, then he goes, and makes his move. It's a bit more of a traditional striker's run at times, actually. That sort of I'm gonna hold. Now I'm gonna go and try and keep you off balance. So. And it's just a beautiful little pass through from Eze. But yeah, you're right. Absolutely, it looks like an awful decision to me.
Yeah, but I mean that was that as a pass to Havertz, that's exactly what we want to see from him. That's exactly the type of thing we want to do, and that is a great run. Anyway, again, it all leads to the end. I'm happy for that penalty not to have been given the ending we had, but had that been really important, that's a real miss, and that could have, and I'm really pleased we're not talking about refereeing decisions spoiling the result.
Yeah.
So I think that's it, and we ultimately got the end answer. So that was a pretty big low light, which ended up being a bit meaningless. So But in terms of the game overall, we had 64% possession to their 36. We had 2.7 xG to their 1.05, and most of that was in the first half. I think in the second half there was only like 0.22. We had 25 shots, and so there was real clear. You could see it. We were not shooting at every available opportunity. And I think I said to you at half time, I think sometimes we're shooting when maybe we shouldn't, like trying to do some spectacular stuff maybe there. But you can see there was an intent. And again, I think I said this in the preview, is that, well, when you're playing against these teams that block and defend with numbers, you got to shoot, because you never know what happens. A ricochet here, there, something's got
and even the value exchange of, a lot of the time when you have got, that position where you're shooting through players, you're hoping to get a corner out of it, God knows how many times. We seemed quite unfortunate with that in the first half, actually. Second half, we were doing all right, and we got quite a few corners. First half, we kept bloody coming off our own players to go out the corner, and we had quite a few times where it felt like instinctively, that's a goal kick,
Yeah.
But that's part of the value exchange for us, I think, because we are in that position where our set pieces are so good. That sort of shoot, it's like the shoot on sight Football Manager instruction. This not that feels like it is reasonably effective for us, because we will be in a position where, even if we know we are at times, it's sort of acknowledging, look, the horseshoe isn't working, when the probing hasn't worked after a certain amount of time. I now need to be the man who steps up and has a go, and either it goes in, or it creates a bit of chaos, ends up in somebody's feet, or we get a set piece out of it. And that's like your range of outcomes that you're hoping for, right?
Yeah, I think 7 of those 25 were on target. So I don't know if that's a good ratio or not, but it shows the intention.
That sounds pretty decent to me, to be honest.
But also then the defence are thinking, if they're going to shoot, do I have to go down and block? And that maybe leaves a space, so then maybe we don't shoot and pass it out. So it just changes something from the norm. I think the quality of shots went brilliant, but again, I like the mindset.
Pickford did make a couple of superb saves at times. I mean, the one off Saka obviously is absolutely outstanding. But...
Yeah. So how did you? I mean, we both discussed, we're apprehensive to a point how good Everton would be, but this was how were you feeling pre-match? Because this is like the beginning of 8 days, 3 huge matches that could go a long way to defining our season. We've got Everton at home, by Leverkusen at home, Carabao Cup final. So, challenging at the top, want to get through to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, our first trophy in ages. So I think this was massively important, and I think this was the most important of them all, because it sort of sets the tone for the others. So how are you feeling about the game beforehand, and then how do you feel about our performance and the result, and what the result means, in total?
I was quite G'd up for this, but quite calm. But I was quite positive about it. I think 2 things really. One of them was, I liked the fact that we were playing before City. I liked the fact that City were playing against a team that I felt could potentially take some points off them. I felt that was going to be our game for City. It's very hard to think of our games at the moment without thinking of them in tandem, especially when they're in that situation. And I looked at the opposition for us, and I didn't really have any real concerns that we were going to lose to. I thought that was a very low, in my range of outcomes. And I felt the game was probably going to go in one of 2 ways, that it was either going to be, we got a goal early on and we would proceed to just kind of be fairly processional with them, because I don't think Everton really have the play. This is the one thing that Everton don't have. They don't have players to come off the bench to kind of impact or to change a game. They pretty much do one thing. That's what that squad can do at this moment, and they can't chase a game. They have to stay in it all the way through. Or the other option was, if we didn't get one early, we would effectively be playing Everton's game, and we would have to spend a lot of time being patient, trying to break them down. And as a result, open ourselves up to risk on the counter-attack, because that's what you do. So we got the second outcome. That was always a very high, if I thought about this game really, I'm thinking there's like 70-80% of me is saying that's really what's going to happen here. We've seen this before. So going into it, I was pretty calm, and so that kept me calm throughout the game. Even at 85, I'm obviously getting a bit more nervous, but I sort of always felt like this was very high in the range of outcomes. And then coming out of it, feel great. It's a really good solid win against a team that, you could see why they have that away defensive record. They really do. They organise very well. They work very hard. They're very David Moyes. And there's some good individual players at what they do. Their talents and abilities are being fairly optimally used by David Moyes, but they are also obviously a more limited set of players than ours. And ultimately, the talent kind of in the end got us over the line, along with probably a bit of the home advantage and just general momentum. But yeah, so I was delighted. I think that's a really good victory. I think that was one of our hardest games in the running, and to have taken 3 points is great, and to do it the day that City get a point is just absolutely stunning. So for me, it comes out as being one of my favourite games of the last couple of months, to be completely frank. Along with the particularly joyous moment at the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it, as it said, the result, and then the City stuff, and I think it does set the tone for a week. So had we lost this, then you go into the Champions League and it's 1-1 at home to Bayer Leverkusen, and you got the doubt there, and that's not going to be the easiest game we'll talk about. And then you got the Carabao Cup final. They're very different. So I think it really sets the tone. It's and actually, there's been a lot of talk about us grinding out results and not playing well, but still winning. So there's the mentality. We're getting through. It's weird. I felt more euphoric after the Brighton game, because just like that thou shalt not pass, and we were like defending, not quite for our lives, but we were holding on to a 1-0. And at the same time, we were holding on for 1-0. Then Man City drew 1-0. I think there was a different euphoria after that game in terms of, oh, wow, this might be happening. Today was more a case of solidifying, or yesterday was a case of solidifying that. And I don't think anyone was really expecting too much from West Ham, but they got it there. So, oh, wow, okay, you sort of bring it up. But I felt a bit different. Maybe I was just tired, exhausted. All the emotions were all over the place. But actually, I think what was different as well, I think we actually played quite well yesterday. I think we were moving the ball quicker. We were looking to be positive, as I said, taking shots, defensively sound. Okay, there were pockets of pressure and shakiness, as we said, but considering the opposition and as we said, the state of the game, the state of the season, to be expected. But we rode that out, and I think ultimately our constant pressure in the second half. But that second half was all Arsenal, bar one moment. It was all us. So first half a bit shaky, second half all us. And so, and it also feels like this season more than any, there's been a lot of late goals. So, and I was thinking at like 84 minutes or whatever like that, or 80 minutes. If you're a neutral or a non-Arsenal fan, you're thinking, Arsenal are going to get a goal here, aren't they? They're just going to get a goal. I know it. And that's what everyone thinks. And we were thinking, well, I was thinking, my concern, and this is what I said to you at half time, I could not see where the goal was coming from. Granted, we were playing well. We were moving it around. I think we were trying to pull them out of shape. We're having all shots. But I wasn't really seeing that clear-cut opportunity and where's that thing going to happen. Some games you can see a goal is coming.
But to be honest, how many goals are scored off clear-cut opportunities?
No, but
in have football wider, right? For me, it was just that I kind of, if I'm honest, like I say, I was calm because I just felt the qualities here, and we're doing enough with the ball. We look bright enough was the main thing for me. I think I said to you, like, I was just relieved start of the game that we looked very bright early on. Everybody looked wide awake, Nobody looked asleep. We were giving it a go. We were using the ball intelligently. There were a couple of really nice movements at times. The only probably the least or the most nervous I got was when we took off Madueke. Because I was a bit like, oh, and Havertz. I was like, oh. Havertz I could understand a bit more as to why he would be
60, 70 minutes. He's not played much, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's just fitness. But if you're doing it just judged on who was on the pitch and who looked dangerous, Saka probably goes off. To be honest, I think he'd had out of him and Madueke, it looked more likely that Madueke was going to do something for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a bit. That was probably a slight moment of nerves for me because that was a straight swap as well, right? That was Martinelli and Gyökeres for Havertz and Madueke. Is just a straight swap for two of the players who'd look more likely to get us a goal. And that was a little bit hairy almost for me. I think if they'd have come on where one of them had replaced the holding midfielder, the swap that we made later on, I'd have felt less nervous at that point in time. So there was that was the only bit for me. I was a bit like, oh, is this the change we're going to make? And then actually I got relieved again when we make the change later on and Zubi goes off and Dowman comes on. And I feel at that point, I'm just kind of going, cool, we're going to get there. Something's going to break through now.
Yeah.
Too much pressure.
I think it was just you could see it, but sometimes you get a goal is coming, and you have that sense. You could see it just we're doing this, and there's last ditch defending and stuff like that. And it was more a case of that. I didn't feel that. I thought we were dominating, we were putting them under pressure, but there wasn't that last ditch defending by Everton. You could just
does that, and eventually with pressure, something cracks, right? We know ourselves as well. One of the problems we've had at times is inviting the pressure on, right? But if you're going to do what they did in the end, where it felt like they'd had a real go, but they were knackered, and there's like they're in the 70th minute, and it was almost like a switch, wasn't it? There was also a switch in Pickford's behaviour. So I literally had just commented, I think 73, 74 minutes, Pickford has a good opportunity to waste a load of time and doesn't, just gets on with it, gets the ball out, and did that all the way through the game up to that point. Actually, was like one of the most efficient distributors of ball that I've seen play in an opposition goal at the Emirates for a team that's coming here where they're probably quite content with a draw. Until I think it was like the 76th minute, he literally just switched and he took fucking ages.
Of course.
And it was like, yep, no, it's almost like this. It's almost like you were told last 15, 0-0.
Yeah,
absolutely. Start doing your shit then, but don't use up your opportunities before. Wait till the last 15, right?
No, makes sense.
And similarly as well, attitudinally as well, the whole team, the instructions seemed to just change, and it might have been there was a quasi injury, like a small stoppage around about that time for somebody. Instruction given, or it was that they were told last 15, or it's just that they're tired. But at that point, then that we'd already had all of the run of the game from 45th. They hadn't really done anything in the second half at all. They did absolutely all. So it's just and it feels a little bit like it's that rugby thing that you get a lot of the time, where it's just what you need to do is to force them to make errors. Yeah, you have so much of the ball and so much of it in dangerous territory that it doesn't matter that you're not doing something that creates the clear opportunity. It doesn't matter that there's no space. At some point, somebody's going to make an error because you can't keep it up for that long. And that's what you're gambling on effectively. And that's what it felt like we were doing. And we just kept recycling stuff in dangerous areas without necessarily creating those kind of full-on opportunities. And at some point, somebody's going to cock up, and that's what happened.
Yeah, no, and maybe it's just my general demeanour, my anxiety.
Later than I wanted it to be. I'll say. But I quite enjoyed the way that we played. We felt quite mature and quite calm.
Well, that's a good thing about this one. We actually did play well. There were a few groans and mumbles behind me, about a bit of the horseshoe. I'll get it forward quicker and all the rest of it, which I didn't resonate with because if you lump it and then it's a 50-50 ball, so we are trying to maneuver the team. That's what you do when you're playing with a deep team. You try and maneuver.
Everton managed transition really well as well. Yeah. They get runners in the right channels that really cut those balls. If you look at most of the times that you might think, oh, turn and hit it. Yeah. There's just somebody in that channel almost all the time.
It always looks so much easier from the upper tier. Oh, we can see that pass. Yeah, but you always play on the ground. You see three players in front of it, and we don't see it. So. But no, I think, and Arteta made a really good point that in general the crowd were brilliant and they were really behind the team. There's always going to be pockets of people that just the frustration, get it up quicker, do this, do that. Just basically don't do the thing that you've done, which didn't equal. They say, why aren't you running around 10 players and scoring a goal? That sort of mentality, that's right. But he made a really interesting point. He said that let the players make the decision, because I did feel sometimes, when it gets a bit nervy, the players, even though they shouldn't, they make a decision based on the crowd reaction. But he really pointed out, said the crowd were great and we let the players make the decision. So just basically trust us that we know what we're doing. We're working with that. And I thought that was a really interesting comment to make, because I think in general, I think the crowd were really, really good, really behind the team. But I said they always going to have pockets.
It wasn't a very groany atmosphere. I didn't think actually it was quite positive throughout. So yeah.
So in terms of the first half, again, positive play. We weren't asleep from Everton's bizarre kickoff routine where they sort of flick it up in the air and try and boot it into the corner. Say that we weren't asleep, but then Gabriel lets it bounce and it's a bit iffy and stuff like that. But it's a funny old routine. It's like a rugby. You know what it is? You're a rugby man. It looked like a rugby kickoff where you just put it in, just outside the 22, and all the players are going up to get it and just see where the ball lands, and then you hope it goes.
It's contestable, right?
Exactly. Yeah. but
Yeah.
we made the mistake of letting
Probably
the
a
ball
low
bounce.
low percentage play, but I think there's been interesting things done from kickoffs a bunch recently, right? Because
we
either
got
you
done by
have a really
Leverkusen.
either you have a really good kickoff routine like a Leverkusen, or alternatively, like there's been a bunch of weird things happen up and down the league, because I think the actual, the kind of, for the people that are into the stats and sort of XG creation or whatever, it's like, I think actually having the kickoff can be more dangerous to the team. I think the XG is more in favour of the team that doesn't have the kickoff.
Well, it's like defensive.
Good like that.
The throw-ins in your defensive half are the worst, and I think Graham Taylor back in the day, God rest his soul, he would put it into the corner, just get the ball into the corner from the kickoff, and then all of a sudden, we've got a throw-in, 10 yards from our goal line, and that is a horrible place to have it, because the most you can do is give it to defender and he boots it clear, because it's because just and the Sunday league, the thing that you hear, box them in, and that's right, great, you got them under pressure straight away, and throw-ins are in the defensive half are horrible. But anyway, nothing came of it. So look, we're doing our attacking, we're having a few shots, but actually the first big chance came to Everton. I think a cross came in, Raya sort of went for it, flapped, and it fell to McNeil. And I don't know if you've seen this, but what a block by Calafiori. He does
it was Calafiori, was it? I think that's where I came away from, just going, whoever blocked that, and it didn't compute. And I think I said to you, I think it's Cali. That was a hell of a block. That was, that was absolutely stunning.
Well, I thought it was a save because I'm side on, so I couldn't work out. But he's lying on the floor. He's lying on the floor, and he's going inside the near post. He sort of does a scorpion kick, and somehow lifts his legs. And also, I'm not sure Ray is saying it. It's like amazing defending, but to block it. So if you get to see that, it's ridiculous. But then the ball recycles, and McNeil then has a really lovely corner, hits the far post. Raya's nowhere near it. Rebounds off one of their players to go wide in Dye, but I think he was offside. But that really sort of unsettled us at about 18 minutes, and we sort of we got a bit rattled, and so we thought, okay, well, and it took us a while to get back in our stride. Calafiori stopped roaming from that point. It was really clear, he was doing his usual in midfield, right wing, left wing, up front, whatever. From there, he sort of
he was more inhibited, wasn't he?
Yeah. And we sort of like, okay, let's get safe, let's get secure for a while. Everton also changed a bit their formation. They pushed up a bit more. They could see there was potential space in behind, and they really did. Instead of sitting back, they pushed up. So there was a sort of combination.
And showed a real bit of ambition, I thought, in the first half. They really they did really commit a few times as well. Then, and we saw the centre half on the halfway line, and giving it a bit of a proper go. And I quite enjoyed seeing them do that to an extent, not as an Arsenal fan, but almost as a.
But also, then it would mean there'd be space for us. And there'll be some space. But it emboldened them. It set us up. So I think it was very professional for us. Okay, let's know the game state. Let's calm down for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Let's not do anything stupid. And I think that's really, really good in the crowd. And maybe you may not think it in the crowd. You think, oh, come on, let's attack. But I think maybe sometimes you just got to diffuse the situation, know where you are, and go, okay, right. 10 minutes of just keeping the ball, pressurizing. Let's not do anything stupid. And then we started to get back into the game. Havertz has the penalty, non-penalty on 24. Ray did make another save, but I think comfortable from Dewsbury Hall. I think what you were talking about, it opens up. And then I think the first sort of biggest talking point of the game was like Timber's off, Mosquera on. And it was interesting that Mosquera came on for White. In the end, I think it was a really good decision. But what did you think?
No, similarly. So I think if Timber goes off immediately when he's injured, I think Benny White comes on. He was he's the natural replacement and had been warming up. And then when he does go off and Mosquera comes on, I was talking about it to the chap next to me and saying it's an interesting call. Why has he gone Mosquera here when he's got Ben White there, especially when you're at 0-0, and so therefore you might want to preserve the attacking shape, because Mosquera does offer very limited going forward. He is not. Even in comparison to the two centre-halves, it's probably the biggest limitation in his game right now. He doesn't really offer very good distribution. He doesn't really have much ambition. He's a body in attack, that's it. And he's a body that, if you saw him actually, Everton left him absolutely free as a bird in a way that they would not have done with a Jurriën Timber or even a Ben White, I think. So I was a bit worried, because I felt it did give them the opportunity to double up then on the player down the right, which they did. So it almost inhibited Saka a little bit further, or it meant that the extra man drifted onto Eza. One of the two of them is picking up an extra man because they were just leaving Mosquera. So I'm still actually not sure in retrospect that I liked it. But at the time I sort of saw it as well, we've done that because there have been some good opportunities come down the left, and Jai had got at us and got some decent balls in. And he's made a genuine move to go. And I think maybe there's also a little bit of in his head going, well, if I put Ben White on at this point and then I have to play him against Leverkusen as well, then that's a lot of minutes for Ben White as well. So I think the two things both could be reasons as to why Mikel went with Mosquera. But I thought Mosquera came in and did really well. He did really well, but
fantastic
within the range of attributes that he has and what he's able to do. And he was probably a big part of why, again, they had no opportunities down that left side in the second half, really. But it does really limit us because he is completely a passenger in attack. There's no chance that he's going to make that overlap or he's drive inside.
He's not doing the half
in a
space.
strange way, I almost thought to myself, is this the time where I actually want to see him go to centre half and Saliba go to right back? Because Saliba actually likes to have a drive at people and has a little bit more ambition and has better distribution, is calmer on the ball, and doesn't just do, Mosquera's just recycling. That's all. It just shifts, the ball just shifts on at somebody else and just shifts on at somebody else, shifts on at somebody else. And that's that. I think Saliba on the other hand would have, had the odd surge and done the odd bits and bobs. But, maybe you just go, no, you preserve that great centre-half partnership. You make sure you keep control there and you keep them distributing. And I completely get that. Yeah, it was a bit of a strange one. It was a strange one. But it works out because we win the game.
Yeah.
But I think had we not won the game, I might be pointing to that to say, that was a mistake, because it did mean, and I genuinely mean this. I was watching him quite a lot. He's second half. He's on,
on your side,
on my side. He's in a really good spot for me to be looking at because I'm on that halfway line on that side of the pitch. They're just completely and utterly ignoring him, absolutely ignoring him. So regardless of anything he tried to do on them, he's not really a body, because a body needs to pick somebody. It needs somebody to give them some attention, and that allowed Everton to have an extra man in defence effectively.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think I sort of quite liked it. Maybe that's results based analysis, but I think he chose him as a result. I think combination of factors, seeing what had happened in like the 18th minute and thereon, and how Everton were playing. I think then it was a case of back to freeing up Calafiori. So again, you can have the three centre halves basically just covering. So we all know Timber can do very well, but equally frustrates when he takes up that half space position in attack, and he's always in that inside channel. But when he's there, he's taking a man from Saka, and you're right, Saka was doubled up on, and Madueke was there. So when Timber isn't there taking a man away, then it makes it easier to defend. But I think it enabled us to free up Calafiori again, because I think he could just see some things in terms of what Everton were doing, maybe being a bit braver. So it worked out for us. But yeah, you were thinking, well, why isn't White coming on, taking up the overlap and things like that? Maybe it speaks to actually how fit White is, but also Mosquera when he comes in. And you're talking about him being free of space. We'll talk about it for the first goal. Thankfully, he was free in space because he was a big part of the opener. So look, that's the first half. Sort of peters out again. Calafiori has a flick on that, which is sort of almost off the line, and we have a couple more shots. And then second half, the first off, the main thing was that Everton again almost score in 50 minutes, and I think it's a great save by Ray at the near post. I don't know who turned and shot, but he sees it late. It's going in the inside post, but that's another big save, very important. Yeah. And then after that, all Arsenal. We make the subs. 61, Madueke and Havertz off, Martinelli, Gyökeres on, and then 74, Calafiori and Zubi off, Hincapié and Dowman on. And I think both those subs were very good and game state driven, but also fitness levels. Calafiori and Havertz haven't played much, so they're coming off. But also they bring energy. They bring energy to the game. They bring running, and they give the defence something to think about. So they've been used to playing with everyone in front of them. Now we're going to try and turn them. Martinelli's a runner in behind. Gyökeres is going to be on the last defender. They're tiring. And in a way, this was maybe the game plan from the beginning of the season. Havertz plays till 60, 70 minutes, and then you bring on Gyökeres to finish him off. And Gyökeres got a bit slated. He didn't do a great deal. He had that one pass. It was easy that he just boots out. But he was just occupying them, and he's making them think about something different. And they're tired, and he's running into the channels, running into space, which leaves space in front. Martinelli, as always, flatters, but then does some really good stuff. You know, again, something to think about, and it's the speed and the momentum. Again, Hincapié, again, endowment. Just seem to be, all the substitutes seem to hit the spot and doing the right thing at the right time. So I was sort of really pleased with, again, how it turns out always makes a difference, but it just felt like the right subs at the right time, the right people.
Yeah, I think so, and I, you know, I did feel it was probably right time for Gyökeres to come on. Question of who it is that he comes on for. As you say, he didn't do a great deal, but he was there to sort of just hopefully we're going to get, you could kind of see it. If he was going to score in this game, it was going to be off something chaotic, because, you know, by that point in that game, the striker wasn't going to be getting those opportunities that even they might have got earlier on in the game. But yeah, I will say though, just as a note around Gyökeres coming on and who he came on for, I thought Kai was really good. In particular, do you know, there's something that I really noticed yesterday, that I think the quality of the press is just so good with Kai in it. I really have missed that. I think Gyökeres works extremely hard off the, but it's a bit headless chicken. It's a bit sort of, he's everywhere, right? And that's not a bad thing. And there are games that really benefits you in just having somebody tirelessly. But there's two elements to that. Firstly, if you do win the ball, and we won the ball out of the press quite a lot in that first half. We got some really good, dangerous possession out of the press. You're knackered if you've just run around like a headless chicken for ages. Whereas with Kai, he's a lot more deliberate, and he leads the press really well in the way that Odegaard does as well. He picks his moments, and then they go, and it just feels like when Kai is there, is the very best version of the press that we have. And it just felt really good in the first half. It felt like when they had the ball in those places where we felt we can turn on him here, we really did manage those situations really well. And he's not knackered because he hasn't just run round like that, which I do think is a thing. Sometimes with Yok, I wonder if he just works so bloody hard and he's trying so hard that he's just constantly like gassed, you know what I mean? Like when he gets the ball, he's done so many high intensity sprints for the last, 20 minutes or whatever. So anyway, that's just a bit of a shout out, just to say we've moved past the first half without necessarily mentioning. I thought Kai was really, really good throughout the game, but in particular his off the ball work was superb.
Yeah, and Eze as well, you can notice Eze was doing very Odegaard pressing. You could see him right onto the goalkeeper.
Good game for Eze throughout as well. On the ball, I thought had some dangerous moments, was really heads up. Good game for him.
One of his better games, but just without the end product. I think he was unlucky with a shot that went just wide. First time shot, he was unlucky with that. But yeah, he was a prominent thorn inside, picking up the ball, turning, trying to lay it off, trying to create something. So exactly what one want to see. So we have that combination of what he had today versus Tottenham. We've got the perfect player. But anyway, the mood changed from despair to unbridled joy in the 89th minute. And look, we played out from the back, and it was a bit nervy. It wasn't the cleanest playing out the back. It was under pressure. But then Big G does a really nice crossfield depth pass out to Mosquera, who was free and open. He takes it down beautifully, passes it to Dowman.
Being free and open for about for the entire game at that point, really. But I was shouting Mosquera throughout that, passing it around the back. Raya, I don't know why Raya had like 3 opportunities with the ball, and it was all getting a little bit tense. And Mosquera was free the whole time. I don't really understand what we were doing there.
Well, what we were doing is give it to Gabriel. Gabriel does a nice crossfield pass to Mosquera.
They're trying to draw players in, right? They're trying to draw the press in and then pull over the top. And it was, which we haven't done for a while, actually. This was very 2 years ago, Arsenal, wasn't it? We loved that. Do a bit of a horseshoe at the back.
Yeah. And this was
the team stopped doing it. They stopped pressing us, so we stopped doing it. But yeah, it was interesting.
And he took it really well it took it down initially. What we forget is how good these players are with the ball high, takes it down on his thigh with one touch, pass it to Dowman. Dowman sort of goes down the wing. He wings a throw in from I think Mykolenko, and then Mykolenko doesn't switch off, but he sets up for a long throw. So he actually, the stupid thing that he does, and I'm sure he'll get rollered for this, he turns his back on play to run to get into position for a long throw. We take a quick throw, and all of a sudden Dowman is in loads of space. No one closes him down.
He had acres of it. It just seemed to like stop and just assess the situation.
Yeah, and he puts in a beautiful cross. Now Pickford comes in, he's trying to help his team out. He almost gets a finger to it, and that's sort of the finger that maybe takes it off someone's head or anything out, but it was low enough that no one was getting their head to it. Hincapié, and I noticed that even prior to the move, Hincapié busted a gut to get upfield as Dowman was winning the throw. So he's still up there, comes in, offers privates, shall we say, and the ball rolls across the 6-yard box, and Gyok is running in there to score the easiest goal of his life, sends the fans into delirium. Well, some fans, I was unsure, but you know, and I have to say, would Havertz have been in that position? Would Havertz be there? And so you know, so for all his faults, Gyok is the man to be there. And look, love him, hate him, if all he does is scores those goals against Tottenham, scores that sort of goal, he's got 16 in total, 11 in the Prem.
Yep.
Yes, he's very got a lot of things wrong, but also he's getting important goals, big goals in important times.
It's been a successful season for him, and those goals are probably paying back that fee already. So you know, absolutely no doubt about that. You know, again, I still say he's limited. He's not a starting.
Yes, no one's arguing that.
All those things, but no, it's good. It's a good contribution. Literally being there is a thing. Yeah, my frustration with him more often is the fact that he's not actually that great at being a penalty box striker, but in that time he was.
Yeah, from 2 yards in an empty net, he's lethal. So that's fine.
But you know, it's where I want him to be. Lovely to see somebody at the far post as well. Finally, given the number of times across this game that I'm going, nobody gambles at the far post in this team.
We had two people far post.
The couple of times that I felt Zubimendi in particular actually just run. As soon as you see somebody's about to take a shot going across goal, gets the far post, mate. Somebody anyway. That is what it is.
It's great. So
it's probably my major moan about the Arsenal in general. Is nobody bloody gambles at the far post. But two players were lining up for it. We just felt, and at that moment it felt like it had been, for me, it was inevitability. This moment was going to come. It's how it always felt. And as you say, Pickford flaps it a little bit, but we forced it. We made him do a lot throughout the game. And if you make a goalkeeper do a lot throughout the game, they'll end up making a cock up of it. And he is a bit like Raya, interesting towards like Raya's flap in the first half as well. Both of them are quite similar, and they're both good in the air, especially for smaller keepers. I actually, you back both of them. They're quite confident. They're both quite commanding of their area. But both of them are very heroic keepers, is the way I would describe it, where they either are not getting a shout from their centre halves, or but they both of these I have to come. Yeah, I have to make everything right. Yeah. And it feels like actually for both of them there are times where, you know, weaknesses of those keepers is sometimes they're a bit too heroic and they should just leave it. The Raya one's a great example in the first half for us. Should have just left it. And luckily,
or the one against Wolves and stuff like that. You know,
and he's trying to.
But
you know,
I take
we benefited off it.
Yeah, I mean, I take the one or two mistakes that he makes, which always happen with a goalkeeper, and it always. When a goalkeeper makes a mistake, it always leads to something bigger than maybe when a forward makes a mistake. So I'll take it because Ray is very good at commanding the area.
And for both of them, they come with the fact they are so strong in commanding. Yeah, both of them are excellent under a dangerous cross. Pickford, it wasn't always the case, but it has become a big strength for him as well. They're both great keepers, and you know, luckily for us in that one, as I say, it works out. But if you put a keeper under that amount of pressure that we did. And that wasn't making, you know, this wasn't a Donnarumma for PSG thing necessarily, that kind of level of saves. But you kept him active, you keep him on his toes, you keep him constantly having to be in that game. Just like everyone else, they tire, you know, and there is a point where they make a mistake and you just have to keep asking questions. We did. So
talking about
it's not a scam or whatever. It's a deserved goal because we kept working away at them until we got it.
Absolutely. And look, talking to Ray, that's 20 clean sheets in all comps, 15 in the Prem. So he's like miles ahead in the Golden Glove competition. And as well, talking about our subs have been huge for us this season. In all comps, we've got 22 goals already from substitutes, which is the most in Arsenal history. And in the Premier League, 21 goals and assists in the Premier League for our subs, which is the best by 7. So, you know, this is showing the depth and strength of our squad. And actually Arteta's maturity in terms of subs. We 2 or 3 seasons ago, or over the past seasons, we've been a bit, you know, on his case about subs, but this year he seems to be getting it right, and maybe the quality of the substitutes coming on, I think make a massive difference. But also he's getting
massive improvement for him this season.
But also his timing and sense is good. So
it's been a huge development for him this season. I think we'll look back on this season and say it's one of the difference makers to other seasons if we go and win something.
Yeah.
And part of that, exactly as you say, there's more trusted players on the bench for him to be able to do it with, and there's also probably a bigger range of profiles than he's necessarily before as well. But nonetheless, his ability to manage and use it and use the squad in general this season has been the best that we've seen. Having previously been something I think people made it out to be a bigger weakness than it ever was. But certainly it wasn't something that it wasn't a quality of his. It wasn't something that you looked at and said he does that really well. And that has changed. So that's, if he keeps that up, then, we are looking at a manager that's, feeling reasonably complete,
Yeah. And so look, we are now 9 points clear with a +7 goal difference. So that's as good as a point almost, if you ask me, +7. So manager of the month, Pep was in the stands to watch his team draw 1-1. So that was a huge day for us in the Premier League. Still not done. I mean, let's assume it's a 6-point lead. It does give us some breathing room, and so on. And look, we don't play our next Premier League game now until the 11th of April, which is Bournemouth at home. So you can imagine if we hadn't got the result we wanted and City got the result they wanted, we'd be stewing on that for a month, and it wouldn't be pleasant. And then we've got the Champions League, Carabao Cup final.
City just feels so rattled now as well. I think we need to acknowledge the broader context of the way out as well. When we've heard various dramatic bits and bobs about the dressing room and stuff and whatever, but I think the thing that's very clear is just that team aren't confident. They're not. I don't think that team believe in themselves in the way that we do. I think that team still feel like they're a team in transition. Where I think a Bernardo Silva looks at some of those lads and a Rodri looks at some of those lads and goes, then they're not the players that we won titles.
Well, it's not the City of old. It's not the City of old.
They are not. But I think those older players in particular will be like looking around and going, there's a couple of these that aren't the ones that you need. Whether that be mentally more than technically. And they're just, I think, and then of the ones that have come in, I think there's probably a couple of them that know that as well. But and that even includes the likes of Mark Gay, who I think is a fantastic signing for him. But I think, he's had a bit of a baptism of fire, and he will be a good signing from the long run.
Yeah, of course.
But to come in January to a team competing in the way they are, it's looked difficult for him in a key position that they were weak in. Yeah, that's looked difficult for him. So I can't help but look at it and just go, this weekend makes me feel more confident on all the fronts almost.
Well, I think the Opta computer said it like done 10,000 scenarios and we're 98% win in every single scenario. So, but
there's not enough difficult games in front of us, or a differential in the games. The games that are in front of us, and especially with the travel and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
it doesn't feel like there's two losses in there. Is what we're talking, 2 losses or a loss and 2, and that's if City are perfect again, and we know that this City team ain't going to be perfect. So at this point, I'm almost a bit like, do you know what? I'm so relaxed about the league. We'll just crank that out now, because there's no way that they're working up a 6-point differential in us. Even if we think of it as 6 points, we think they're just going to win the game in out. Or even if we just think they're going to beat us, for instance, or whatever. They're not going to work up the differential, and that is where my head's at. I don't think they're good enough for it, and I don't think the opposition that we're going into are good enough that we're going to have a major issue. And again, we talked about this early on. This fixture list was built for us to have a difficult middle. It was built for us to have a difficult middle, and that's exactly
come through it.
We had a good start, difficult middle, and then you get to this point, and it is basically, don't lose at City and don't fuck it up. And that's all we've got for this fixture list now, all the way through. And that's great as well for, Christ, and that's where it makes me feel really relaxed about the Champions League prospects. And actually, I'm now salivating a little bit over that, because it feels like, do you know what? Another slip up off City, or we go up there and we don't lose. Yeah. Your margin for error in the Premier League is so great.
So big, yeah. And
you can waste a lot of energy on the Champions League and really fucking go for that now. Not that there is such a simple trade-off in these things, but it almost feels like, well, okay, the special really is on, and let's really give the Champions League a go.
Where are you with now City because of the big difference on them against Real Madrid? Because their Real Madrid game coming up, if they get through that, that's a really emboldening win, and all of a sudden
they're not going to. They're not. I'm sorry. There's no way that they are there's absolutely 1-0, 2-0 loss out there, maybe. There's absolutely no way they're coming back from that 3-0. I don't think.
But I think if they come 3-0, it'll go to extra time. So at least that would maybe knacker them and
they're
stuff
not
like
scoring
that.
Goals though. City aren't going out and against poor opposition. The reason we got that goal difference at the moment, we've never had a goal difference like this.
Well, look what happens. Everyone complains about we're boring or we're reliant on set pieces. Man City without Haaland scoring, look at the difference. Absolutely,
they've got nothing. They've got nothing behind Haaland.
And there's no discourse around City and all the rest. But I do think, had we not won that game yesterday, I got a feeling maybe City would have done their job. So I think we added that pressure and us getting it, and it just all feeds into the whole thing. But to be honest, I don't care about the narratives anymore. Siege mentality. Screw everyone who thinks X, Y, and Z, just looking for clicks and whatever. But it is interesting that City get away with it. But that's because I think no one cares, and no one cares about City. So therefore,
City. This could be a really dark couple of weeks for City.
Yeah,
this could be a really dark couple of weeks, which I will absolutely fucking love.
So you're happy for them to go out?
I know I've talked before about maybe it's advantageous for them to stay in the competition a bit longer in the Champions League and at least trade games like we are.
Yes, and they played Bayern before us and all the rest of it.
I think the way it's fallen with them dropping the points as early as they have and us taking the 6 out of the. I always sort of felt that the combination of these two fixtures that we had here were probably going to be like 4 points for each team. I thought we were going to match each other. Either we both go 6 or we both go 4 or something. It felt like, I've generally had a bit of we're going to keep trading points and we just narrowly kind of scrape it, right? For whatever reason, the combination of the hiding they got at Real and then the fact that they looked quite chaste from what I've seen, it's only highlights, but with West Ham looked reasonably chaste and West Ham looked quite decent value. I just have a feeling like this to me feels like City are a bit like, the League Cup might be the most dramatic bit, right?
Well, let's just see.
If we can beat them in the League Cup, I think you mentally defeat that team, and then I think they will go out to Real. I don't think there's any way they're going to turn it over. And that combination of things, that absolute collapse out of all the competitions at that point, I think you get on a bit of a procession then for us. And there's a bit of a procession of City going into, just sort of wearing themselves away, a bit like we did last season. We got mentally defeated at one point. There was a point we just knew the season's over, right? And you just proceed through it. And luckily we had the Champions League. But they're not going to, I don't think they're going to have that. And I think they will just go on that meandering procession of, what's going on here kind of stuff. And it almost, it almost becomes just a foregone conclusion that they're leaving the season with nothing. But a huge amount depends on what happens at Wembley.
Yeah. Huge. But I think we're going with the mental impact of losing to Real Madrid and going out in a manner is okay. Fine.
I don't want them having a second wind.
No. Exactly.
That Real one now would give them, and that's why Wembley's important. And the second leg, actually, it's different, right? If they've gone out to Real and they're drawn, there's no second wind about beating them at City to a certain extent. It's just sort of, you edge a game, whatever. Yeah. But if they were to overturn a 3-0 deficit against Real Madrid, there is a thing, there is a momentum there, right? I don't want them getting that momentum. I want them to be completely rudderless.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that's where I'm falling with that on now. So there we go. So look, right, let's quickly just go through your 3-word reviews, and thank you for sending them in as always. And again, as always, apologies if I mispronounce and get your handle wrong. And I'm normally well prepared for these, but I didn't have enough time, so I'm sort of reading them out off the socials. So Cheech. I was there, and I think there's going to be many people for that Max Dowman moment saying I was there when our new star boy was crowned.
About 300,000 people were there, I think.
Exactly. It's going to be up there with Anfield 89. FPL Guna Gen, as ever, stressful. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Dr. Lee's kit. It was 3 letters, but I know what the words are. JFC. So Mr. C, the Guna. Wow, just wow. Indeed. It was a wow moment. Okay. We got a few of these on threads. The Johnny Man, Max fucking Dowman. So his initials are going to be forever MFD. I think we had about 4 or 5 of those. North Bank pod. So this was Steph. Never in doubt. Yeah, I met with him beforehand. I think that was just a tongue-in-cheek, never in doubt, because we were all a bit. Well, no, Holly was confident, and me and Steph were a bit nervy. Chapper's Delight, maths first period. Yeah, that's for you, Matt. And then another one, Guna K19, school on Monday. Dirity Man, trust the process. Yeah, I think that's what Arteta was referring to. Paul C. Giltusa, I was meant to look this up. He always sends Latin. Supraventricular tachycardia. I think that's just me. I think that means something about a heart attack. So
yeah, I'm about to say that. Yeah. I recognise the last bit of that at least.
Yeah, tachycardia. There's it. It means a heart condition featuring rapid, often regular racing heartbeats originating above the ventricles due to faulty electrical signals. So basically, yeah, his heart was going.
You heard a lot as I was walking out. I think I was texting the Grove saying my life expectancy is taking a hit, and you just hearing people. It's just lots of middle-aged men walking out, going, genuinely think this has aged me. I think I'm one step closer to the grave here.
Exactly. Paul Latham, Digny 18, always likes a pun. Arsenal bite toffees. Thank you, Paul. DJ Bukat, Everton maxed out. I like that one. Mr. Andrew Nelson, can't stop smiling. Yeah, I don't think we can. Nicky the Kid, 1. Super Max. I think this is a bit poor. Diga Tinau, Saka is shit. I think that's very, very harsh, and I'm not going to get into any discussion about that. Tim Quinta, another Max fucking Dowman. WTFI Jordan, Mighty Max Dowman. Here you go. This one's for you. Tapu Walex, we are inevitable. I think you were thinking that. What else? We got? Leg Puppy, he has arrived. Hath 100, Max points 1. And there we go. I think Rainsby behind the sofa. If I had a sofa, I would at the stadium. I think I would have been behind it. And Spee My One, Doctor Ran Riot brackets MD. So yeah, calling Max the Doctor. Okay, on X, Ian Ask Cannon Picks, another Max fucking Dowman. Classic football clocks, never in doubt. Thank you for those. And one final one on the socials. Hard work boom by Bibi25103.
Oh, sorry, are you telling me there's an account that's classic football clocks?
Yeah, they're actually done.
I'm gonna have to go on this.
Oh yeah, no, he's really good. He's a supporter of the show, and Ian actually got a clock with his X sort of logo in it. So basically, you can get any picture you want with Arsenal stuff, all the rest of it, with clocks in it, and there's some of them really cool designs. And so yeah, I'll definitely have a look at. Okay, let me find his.
This makes me fat because I've been you know how you lament things that you've owned over the years and have gone missing. There was the 95, 96 squad picture with a clock in the middle of it, the kind of tat that you bought out of the club stadium.
If you can get a picture of it, I'm sure you can put a clock in it. I've just put his X.
A modern take on that, I'd be all over. Sorry for the distraction.
No. I've put his X.
I've never come across a classic football. I'm on a lot of classic football stuff. I've not come across a clocks version, so that's great.
Well, have a look. Anyway, I've put his handle in the chat in the chat. So there you go. And I can get it to you later. Right, and finally, to the Grove. And I did have this set up. What did the Grove chat come up with? Alex Monroe, holy fucking hell. Yep. Fraser, 7 games left. Sensi, that was mad. I mean, very good playing words. Sensi, Rahima, 7 more wins. Rahima, Dowman has arrived. Shanice, was it handball? Yeah, no, it wasn't. Another Max fucking Dowman from Normie. Moz, respectfully, piss off. That was to me and my handball shout. Anushan, penis Piero Hincapiness. Okay, very good. CERN, avoidable heart attack. Yeah, it might be down to me. Alistair, regulation 2-0. Yeah, he's in your camp. Noel Mickaday, thank you, Max. Indeed, thank you, Max. It feels a bit odd to be eulogizing this match about 16-year-old, but it's football, and
it's the wrong day for it. I think we actually need to be celebrating Caroline Dowman, because his mother's day in it. So that's
absolutely happy.
He's got a chaperone in every game.
Yeah, indeed, and I need to get off this pod quick to go and visit my mum. So before we do that, right, okay. So and also I think my kids aren't performing, and I need to rally my kids into doing their one fucking job. Yeah, I'm surely I'm old enough now and not to have to worry about my wife's Mother's Day. But there we go. Anyway, enough of that. Right, by Leverkusen, 1-1 after the first game. Played them on Tuesday.
2-0 home win.
2-0 home win. Okay, but any comments on the result first leg? Anything?
I thought it was perfectly solid. I thought it was a very Champions League game, right? It was I think we managed it like a very Champions League team that went out to a difficult spot, to a place where there's a good team. They're not quite the team that they were for a couple of seasons prior, but they're a good team. They've got plenty of danger, and they play some good football. We went out, we managed the situation, we managed to come back with a 1-1 draw. However you feel about the manner of that, we've come back with a what is a fantastic Champions League result. When you come back to a home leg at 1-1, you're in a good spot, and you set yourself up to be okay. We're taking you back to ours. We're gonna manage that game. That's going to be our game now, and played on our terms. And I'm pretty confident. So I was really happy with that first leg. It wasn't the most entertaining game of football. We didn't look like the better team during it, but we managed the game perfectly well. And it just felt very, very Champions League knockout round.
I think in context, we'd played 17 games since January, since Portsmouth in the FA Cup, 11 of which I think were away. I think it's some stupid statistics. So just another away game, a squad that's sort of a bit tiring. Again, you could easily be out of it. We could have easily gone 2-0 down or something like that, and then that's a different proposition. So just stay in the game, even 1-0 down, a bit like Liverpool again. Right, that's something you can overturn. So I think there was an element of this is a two-legged tie. We're only halfway through. Let's not do anything stupid, to get there. So that I think that's
Make
it.
sure you go into the second leg and still favourites. It's about as simple as that for me.
Yeah.
Like you need to your favourites for this two-legged tie.
Yeah.
Be in that position at the start of the second lot of the 90 minutes. Like don't be in a position where you've got a hill to overcome.
Yeah. And it's a bit reminiscent of the Porto game a couple of years back, where it's 0-0. A minute to go, we try and break, we give the ball away, and suddenly Porto are 1-0 up, and it was sort of like, okay, a maturity and learning from that, not to give anything extra away to make it even worse. So they are, in terms of looking forward to, not looking forward to. Yes, the M's under the lights. We're the better team. We should win. They are savvy. They are defensively sound. Some dangerous players, so we don't take it lightly. But at home, we've got to take advantage of that. Get the momentum from Everton. Get through. And I just not looking.
They're a bit of an upper class Everton in a way.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a Champions League Everton to a certain extent.
I think they'll be easier than Everton. They should be easier than Everton, I think.
Well, no, I'm not quite so sure about that. But
just because it's Champions League, so. But then again, they are very out of all the German teams, they are the very most English of German teams.
Yeah, they are, and there's a real, but there's a bit of an Everton about them in the respect that they're good defensively. They travel reasonably well. They haven't been scoring enough goals since they've lost a bit of the talent from the Invincibles team.
Yeah,
but ultimately they organise really well. They've got good footballers, and they've got quite a lot of experience in there. It's a really similar challenge again to Everton coming here, and they will come here to the Emirates. I think a little bit more ambitiously in some respects. They do need to come and get a result, but at the same time, I think the challenge with them is going to be the breaking them down and doing so in a way that doesn't leave us open to a great counter attack. yeah, they're a very similar outfit. Even the fact they've got the same kind of striker as well. You know, the lad up front, who's a talented young 19-year-old and might be able to add more to his game at the moment, is a great outball, but he's not much more than that at this stage. He's a real handful, but he's not a goal scorer. And so we just need to manage the game in a really similar way, I think. Don't overcommit. It's Champions League knockouts. We can manage this, and we can get through this game. This is not the hardest match that we've had in the Champions League this season.
Just the one thing in terms of not looking forward to is like just hoping it doesn't impact the Carabao Cup final. Don't want to go to extra time, pens, big stress.
Yeah,
you know, go in, get the job done, no fuss, move on. I don't think it'll be as easy, but yeah, I think that's a really good shout, saying it's going to be akin to the Everton game. You know, the one player that we need to watch out for is Grimaldo down the right wing back. Patrick Schick is back. I think playing. I think he missed last week, or he's on the bench. He played against Bayern at the weekend, so they've got some options, big main options up front. So how are we going to approach this game in terms of what do you reckon the lineup is going to be to get that 2-0 win?
I don't think it's dissimilar to what we saw today, right? There's a question mark over I don't think we got any news on Timber as to whether it's something or other. If Timber's not available, I think it will be Ben White for this one. I don't think it'll be Mascara. I think we'll go with the option of him. I have in my head that, as I say, that could have been one of the reasons why we saw Mascara, on top of the fact to want to change the shape a little bit. But yeah, I think pretty much that lineup. I do think he will go Havertz over Jock. And I think Jock will come on at some point again. Because I just think that's it looked quite good for me in that Everton game, and it did things that I wanted it to do. So I would like to see that personally. I think the biggest question mark is whether you have Madueke on the left, or whether you do bring in one of the established left wingers. And that is a big question mark. There might even be a case, and I'm 100% not saying this in the Saka shit, whoever said that, like absolute bollocks, as well as the fact, as I say, for me, one of the main reasons why Saka had less of an impact in the second half was because he was being doubled up the entire time, because Mascara was leaving him to be doubled up the entire time. That's what happens when you put a Mascara in that position.
But just on that, I think also the reason why you keep him on is because of the substitute. Arteta's maybe thinking of the next substitution. So if you took Madueke off, took Saka off and kept Madueke on, you bring Dowman on, who goes into the midfield? Because that's not Dowman going in there. So he's thinking, I'm going to bring Dowman on in a bit, and I need Saka to then go and be the third man in midfield. That's what he's thinking. So at the time, people were complaining, saying, "Oh, Madueke, he's been more effective." No, but bigger picture here. So anyway, sorry, carry on.
There might be a point in this game anyway, I think, to perhaps start Madueke. And this is more thinking we've got two big games now.
Yeah.
So for that, and we've got Wembley, right? So do we maybe keep Saka a bit fresher for Wembley, put Madueke on the right, put Martinelli? That's not a resting situation, because at the moment the two of them are both being quite effective. Madueke's in a good run of form. Utilise him on the right, have Martinelli coming on the left. That's where my head would probably be going at in terms of what the potential changes could be. But otherwise, you're not expecting a massively revolutionary set of changes here.
I'm slightly different because 3 big games in a week with Wembley in mind. Mascara, I think, will start. White will get minutes as a sub, and I think Hincapié starts basically because Havertz and Calafiori, 3 big games in a week. Okay, I want Havertz and Calafiori starting against City. Can Havertz really do 3 big games in a week starting?
If Timber's not got a problem though, because Timber did play on for quite a while after the initial knock, and then got taken off.
I'm not fussed. No, I'm not fussed.
I have a feeling he's all right, but I'm more thinking Timber will start Wembley. And then I would say probably...
I'm not so worried about White, Mascara, whatever. But it's more, I think Hincapié for Calafiori, and Havertz will not start. And I think Gyökeres will start.
I mean, that's the obvious what I'm missing. I am absolutely missing that one,
And as much as I want Havertz to start, I think Gyökeres will start over Havertz, because I think Havertz will start at Wembley. And Gyökeres will be fine against Bayer Leverkusen at home. That's how I think I'm going, because I just think you just got to think of the week holistically. You got to think of this as one block.
I think I want Havertz's Nous.
No, whether you want Havertz, but whether do you want Havertz Nous more for this game, or more for the Carabao Cup? But that's me. That's how I would approach it, because having him, because even though he says he's 100%, and all the rest of it. And fine, if he was 100%, nothing, not having like practically been out for a year, then maybe yes. But you just think, yeah, just something there, and then you can bring him on and stuff like that. So we'll see. Anyway, it's down to the boss. So right, so you're going 2-0. I had 2-0. I had 2-0 as well as my prediction. And as I said, I think we should win this. It's not going to be comfortable, but goal in either half. And then just bring it on. It's through to the quarters, and then it's City on Sunday. So there we go. Right. That's 94 minutes in. I'm going to have to stop you from talking. It's been fantastic. I've got to stop myself from talking. So thank you very much for joining me this morning. I hope you have a great day and have a lovely time with your mum celebrating Mother's Day. So thank you, Jamie.
Thank you very much, mate.
And you can follow us on Threads, Blue Sky, Insta, TikTok, all the podcast apps, and YouTube at The Grove AFC. Actually, at the 18-year-old birthday party, long story, don't worry, yesterday, I met someone who said, "Oh yeah, I watched the pod on video during lectures." I said, "Okay, thanks." I didn't know how to take that, but no, you should be studying, or thank you for watching our ugly mutts. But there we go. So look, you can follow us on all those things on at The Grove AFC. Leave us a subscribe, comment, rating. Really helps with the algos, helps spread the word and get us into the ears of the less fortunate. So next pod will be post by Leverkusen pre-Carabao Cup final on the Wednesday. And there we go. Thank you for listening. If you made it this far, it's been a blast. Thank you, Max. And I'm sure that won't be the last time we say that. And until the next time, come on, you Gunners.